Hey guys, just got to do a video on doing coolant bypass on a 12 valve. And some guys like them, some guys don't. I don't know. I personally run them. I like them. Not that I really should say that, because I actually don't know if at the moment I have one on any of my trucks. I should, but I don't think I do. But anyways, I guess I'll show a video, put one on. But anyways, so kind of have, there's more than one option. How you do it, location of where you do it, etc. So what I recommend, what I personally like is, I personally like the fleece kit that has a thermostat in it. It's just a Chevy small block thermostat. You can change it. This one's a 180. You can change it to, you know, a 160, a 180, a 190, a 200, whatever floats your boat. That's one nice thing that they did do. They're easy to take apart. Now there's usually a kit. This is one that I had that I should have on my truck, funny enough. So now that this is a common rail block, just because it's sitting here right beside me. Usually this is going to bolt in like that. On a 12 valve, it just bolts in. Actually, maybe it's like that. Yeah, I think it's like that actually. But anyways, it doesn't matter. So your line's going to come out of here, and then it's going to go to your thermostat housing, because on top of your thermostat housing, actually, I'll just take you over here quick. I'll show you. So the fitting that they have, you'll take this out, it threads in there, you hook it in, and you can do this for all of them, or you could drill and tap into this if you really wanted to, whatever floats your boat. And then this line will go back into, which is just a bypass line. Bypass and helps bleed air out, steam, that type of stuff. So it's a good, I personally recommend to have these on there. But anyways, so all of the ones, like when I'm doing them, they all will come into here. Lots of times I drill and tap into the housing, or I'll drill and tap this bigger because I like the line a little bit bigger than the way that the factory had it. But anyways, so let's go back over to bench. So now this is just one style. So like I said, this is going to be usually like this on the block, block there. But you come out, and then this, so anytime your engine temperature with this thermostat is above 180 degrees, it will be circulating coolant from here right into the upper rad hose and helping the engine cool off. And it's pulling heat. Inherently, these things have a problem with getting the coolant from front to back, top to bottom, because there's nothing that physically makes the coolant flow like that. It does, but it's not like it's forced from front to back and that's the way it has to go. It does not do that. So they do have number 5 and number 6 are going to run hotter than 3 and 1 to 4, just because of that. So if you do a coolant bypass, you don't have that issue. I shouldn't say you don't have that issue. It helps alleviate the issue. So it doesn't do away with it. And I do, for you guys that are looking for some stuff, Fleece Performance. I've dealt with Chase for quite a few years. Great company, great customer service. Never had an issue with them myself personally. I shouldn't say I've never had an issue. I have had an issue with a few products, but they've always been very helpful in anything that I had an issue with, some being my fault, some being maybe a manufacturer or a part issue. Very small stuff, nothing to really speak of. Never had an issue. But something that I do recommend myself personally is, if you're going to use their factory hose that comes with it, unless they've changed it, I haven't put one on for a while, unless they've changed it, I personally would do away with that and use a stainless steel braided line, because the material that they were using, I don't like the material. I never had an issue with one, and lots of guys did. I never had an issue with one. I changed it to a stainless steel braided line. So it's an NA or an AN10 fitting. Same with on your coolant side or on your thermostat side. It's going to be the same size. So these are not the cheapest thing to buy, but they are very good upgrades, especially if you're going to tow. I don't know, Jeff, if I was talking to you about, I got one of our subscribers I've been talking to on email. I don't know if I talked to you about a coolant bypass, but maybe not a bad idea. If you're going to be doing a bunch of towing, bunch of heavy towing, get that, help alleviate that heat from the back of the block. So that is one option. Next option This basically the same kind of idea, right? It just doesn't have a thermostat in it, it just has an MPT fitting. If you're putting these in there, this is actually, if you're doing billet frost plugs, this is one of the ones on 12 valve. I know some guys have these things leak, and I don't know why. If you're going to put this in there, put sealant on it, please. I personally use either a red Loctite retaining compound. You can use case sealant. You can use Teflon tape. You can use all kinds of stuff. I personally use something that dries myself. And then I have some other compounds that we use that if you put it in there, you'll never get it out. But anyways, make sure you put a good sealant on it or it'll leak. I don't know why guys jam them in there and then they don't understand why it leaks. And it's like, well, it's going to leak if you don't put sealant. So anyways, now you can do the same thing with this. You can bolt this to the, and if you could even put a quarter turn valve, I guess, if you really wanted to on it. You would run this right back to your thermostat housing, like I was talking about on when you run the fleece setup. So now, if you were going to do that, you would probably want to orifice it off, because if you didn't, it's going to flow a pretty good amount from here up to there all the time, and you don't inherently need that much coolant flow constantly. But completely up to you. If you wanted to do it that way, you could. I'm sure there's lots of different ways. You could buy a thermostatic housing that has, so the coolant flows through it, and then when it gets to a certain temperature, then it would start dumping off. You could do it that way if you wanted to, but it would have to flow through it, so you would have to hook it into another circuit so that it would flow back. So that's kind of more of a screw around in my eyes, and they're not cheap for good ones. So you could do that, though. You could do, if you're toning, if you like live in, let's say, in Arizona or something, or you live in somewhere where it's hot all the time, you could just literally bypass this from the back of the block to your upper rad hose constantly. You would probably want to orifice it off, but if you started at 10 and found that the truck run too cool, you could dump, you could go smaller sizes. Now there's another option, is this won't fit in there because it's too deep, but you can come under there into a pressure valve. So you would have to build a bracket for the pressure valve to sit on, so that only at high RPM would this be open. I don't know, usually like for a bypass, a pressure bypass versus a temperature bypass, these are the ones that I use, and it's just a 1/2 inch bypass. These ones are 75 pounds, which at high RPM they work, but not for temperature. And I think you would want more of a temperature if you're using it for towing versus hot rodding and worrying about it blowing frost plugs and coolant flow and stuff like that. But so on to the next one. So this is another option. You could put it in with a quarter turn valve and turn it on and off, or just throttle it down, just so there is a more of a coolant flow going through it. Completely up to you how you want to do it. Now, talking about the pressure relief, another coolant bypass setup. Now there is a bunch of different places you can put this. Like I said, you can hook it up. You would come out of the back of your block, and then you would have to mount this somewhere, make a little block for it to mount to, around, somewhere here, wherever you want to put it. It doesn't matter. And then you can go that way. Or what I usually do when I'm doing these is, your coolant temp sensor is right here. What I do is I pull that out and I put a T on it. You T it so that your coolant bypass, or your temperature sensor will stick out a little bit farther. And there's a bunch of different ways, but so you can either put this like that, and then your hose is going to come out here, loop around, and then go into your upper rad hose, or you can do it this way and run it down along. Or another way to do it is these frost plugs. This is a little bit trickier because you have to make up a fitting. So if you don't have access to a welder, or you can't weld, or some machining equipment, this is a little bit more difficult. But you can knock this out and tap this. I want to say it's 20 millimeters, I think. And then you have a standpipe for it, so this would kind of sit just like this. And then when you hit pressure, it dumps and then goes back into your upper rad hose. So, like I said, there is a few options there for coolant bypass. myself personally, for a tow rig that you're using, that type of stuff. Like I said, I'm sure there's more than a fleet. There's fleece. I'm sure there's probably somebody else that makes them. I've always used the fleece ones, never had an issue. Good product. Like I said, the only thing is that I changed the hose that they used to put on there. But there again, I haven't bought one for a few years, so it's possible that they've changed the hose and they fixed that issue. But if you have any questions or anything, I can help you out, or contact them directly, Fleece Performance. And yeah, and they have lots of distributors. I'm a seller for them. I shouldn't say distributor, a seller for them. And they are very, like I said, great company. I do like dealing with them. Like I said, Chase is the one that I've dealt with a few times. Anyways, and Chase isn't, I'm sure they have, Chase is one of the owners, or affiliated owner, whatever you want to call. But I'm sure they have lots of helpful sales guys and stuff. So anyways, that's as far as like the coolant thing goes, coolant bypass. Like I said, I would recommend doing it this way, but if you don't want to spend the money, this is a cheaper option, but this is only by pressure. Unless you know, if you guys have, if you guys have done this and you're doing it a different way, let us know in the comments, because I don't mind if there's another way, or a way that guys can do it on a little bit cheaper, because I know these kits aren't, they're not super cheap, but they're not super cheap. They're a very nice product. That's the reason I like them. But if any of you guys have done it, hit me up in the comments, so we can all see, because I'd be curious if there's a different way, if you guys are doing it a different way. I'm curious to see how you guys are doing it. So anyways, I guess we'll cut this one off there. Like and subscribe. Like I said, hit me up in the comments if you got any comments. If you've done this a different way, hit me there again. Let's hear it in the comments so that we can see what you guys got going on. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.